Hey guys, have you ever wondered how the factions in the Crimson Isle work? Have you been struggling doing them or just weren't sure what you have to do? Don't worry, I got you covered, and today we will talk about everything related to the factions, what you have to do and how to progress with them. But before we dive into today's video, we are still on the journey for YouTube rank, so subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Currently we are about 10% of the way there, and fittingly 90% of you watching my videos aren't subscribed. Only takes you one click and helps me out a ton. Also, it's my birthday today, so happy birthday to me. And I'm not telling you this because I'm lacking friends. Yeah. Anyways, let's start with the video. When you enter the Crimson Isle for the first time, you have to talk to Elle in the entrance of the stronghold. She will start the whole progression of choosing a faction. To do that, you have to do some quests she's giving to you. I won't go over every quest in detail, otherwise this video would be way too long. Just some quick tips at this point. Most of the time you've got a little arrow in your scoreboard showing you where you have to go. It's leading towards the direction of your next goal in the quest line. Also, I will link the wiki entries of the Mage and Barbarian faction in the description, so you can read up what you have to do if you struggle to go on. Personally, I would join the Mage faction first. I'll get to why in a bit. Once you join the faction, you're greeted with something called reputation. There are multiple ways of getting reputation. Some are the same for both factions, some are unique for the faction. Reputation is needed to be able to join the different tiers of Kudra, normal, hot, burning, fiery and infernal. Depending on the tier completion you have, you can use different attributes. Veteran, for example, is unlocked with the completion of burning tier, or magic find with an infernal completion. You also need reputation to be able to craft and use either red sand or mycelium minions. Depending on your reputation, you can use higher tiers of those minions. Firstly, you get some reputation by completing the main quest line. For mages it's 650, for barbarians it's 900 reputation. The main way of getting reputation is by doing the daily tasks on the corresponding town board. The tasks are divided into 5 tiers, reaching from S to D tier. Depending on the tier, they are easier or harder to do, but you also get more or less reputation. I will showcase the different types of tasks later on in the video. Another way of getting daily reputation is by doing Kudra. The basic tier gets you 10 reputation, hot tier gets you 20 reputation, etc. All the way up to infernal for 50 reputation daily. The last way of gaining reputation, that's the same for both factions, is by killing the Crimson Isle mini-bosses. Each of those gets you 20 reputation per day, totaling 100 for killing all 5 of those. The daily ways of getting reputation is reset at this time. I tried to include some time zones, but as I said, same for both factions, which means there are also ways of gaining reputation in a faction specifically. I'm gonna start off with those for mages and go over the barbarian ones afterwards. Firstly, you got Rollum, who is an NPC that wants to fight you for up to 7 days in total. The fight itself is pretty easy and you get 25 reputation every time you kill him, totaling 175 reputation from him. Next up you can get Pablo a flower every 2 days, which gets you 25 reputation every time you do it. He always tells you which flower he is looking for. This can be an enchanted poppy, an enchanted dandelion or an endstone rose. The last repeating task for mages is to get Avorius a cup of blood every 3 days. You get 5 reputation every time you do so. There are 3 more single time tasks for mages which give reputation. First you can talk to Mollem and splash him with a Titanic experience bottle for 20 reputation. Secondly, you can complete the Archmage quest for another 250 reputation. Lastly, you can kill Chexilla after reaching 7000 reputation and talking to Igrupan, which gets you another 100 reputation. Now for the ways of getting Barbarian reputation. The dailies, Kudra tiers and mini-bosses stay the same, but there are some faction-specific tasks for Barbarians as well. Similar to Rollum from the Mages, you have Cause in the Barbarian faction. You can also fight him for up to 7 days, getting 25 reputation each time. Also similar to the Archmage quest, there is a quest line for Bar, which also gets you 250 reputation upon completion. The last 3 ways of getting Barbarian reputation are recurring tasks. You can give a sulfur to Siri once every 2 days for 10 reputation each. Also, you can give a toy to Zeus every other day, which gets you 40 reputation every time. To get the toy, you have to kill a specific mob Zeus tells you. The chance of dropping it is 10%. Lastly, you can give an enchanted bone meal to Pomteer every day for 50 reputation every time you do so. I'll tell you later on how much reputation you should get and why. For now I can tell you it's more than 12k. Now we talk about the daily tasks being doable at the town boards. There are 6 different types of tasks. The smart viewer might have realized by now there are only 5 daily slots at the town board. It's being rolled at random which type of task you are getting and which tier it is. The types are Dojo, Fetch, Rescue, Boss, Mini-Boss and Fishing. For Dojo tasks, you have to reach a certain tier in a Dojo task that's requested. I will do a video about Dojo in the future, stay tuned for that and subscribe to not miss it. To complete a Fetch task, you have to bring a certain amount of the Crimson Isle resource to the town board. The higher the tier, the harder it is to obtain the item. You get the resources either by killing normal or fishing mobs on the Crimson Isle, and they are soulbound, which means you have to acquire them yourself. Next up, we do have the rescue mission. The idea behind it is the faction you are not in captured an NPC from your faction and you have to get to him to bring him back to your faction. If you are in the Mage faction, you have to rescue it from the Bastion. If you are in the Barbarian faction, you have to rescue it from the Cathedral. While doing so, you have to avoid guards blocking your way. If they see you, you have to restart the rescue. It turned out it's way easier to do the rescue in the Bastion than the Cathedral. There are multiple ways of avoiding the regular way and approaching the NPC in an easy way. I'll link a video about it in the description. This is also the reason why you should start with a Mage faction. I'll get to the process of switching factions in a bit, but once you switched your faction once, you can freely hop between factions. So whenever I have a rescue mission as a Barbarian, I'll head over to the Mage town board, switch to Mages, start the rescue mission, rescue the Mage, go to the Barbarian town board, switch to Barbarians, and claim the quest as a Barbarian, getting the Barbarian reputation. Now for the boss task. For this, you either have to kill a magma boss or complete a certain tier of Kudra. Same goes for the mini boss task, but with Blade Soul, Barbarian Duke, Mage Outlaw, and Ashfang. These are easier tasks to get in my opinion, as you want to do a mini boss rotation every day anyways. Lastly, there's the fishing task. It requires you to catch a certain amount and a certain type of trophy fish. If you're looking for a trophy fish guide, I already uploaded one to my channel. Go check it out after this video. As I told you earlier, we will now talk about switching factions, as well as the amount of reputation you need and how all of that works. First things first, you want to get about 28k reputation in your first faction. Now you might ask, but why? Infernal Kudra and your 12th minion only need 12k reputation. Let me explain. Every time you complete a task in one faction and get reputation, you get the same amount of reputation reduced in the other faction. But the reduction only goes up to negative 3k reputation. This means while having your first 3k reputation in one faction, you also have negative 3k reputation in the other faction. If you get up to 12k reputation for example, you still only have negative 3k reputation in the other one. But why 28k now? Let's assume you got that amount and now you switch factions. The switching process itself doesn't reduce any of your reputation. But to be able to get daily tasks at the town board, you need at least 0 reputation in the faction you are in. As learned earlier, we are at negative 3k reputation in the new faction. To get to 0, you have to kill the Barbarians in the Burning Desert if you have negative Mage reputation, or Fire Mages, Mage Guards or Kronda Necromancers if you have negative Barbarian reputation. For every kill, you get 25 reputation in your new faction, while also losing 25 reputation in your old faction. This strat only works until you've got 0 reputation, so sadly you can't cheese it all the way up. Now that we killed mobs worth 3k reputation, we also lost that amount in the old faction, which brings us down to 25k reputation in the first faction. Now we complete townboard tasks, do NPC quests, kill daily mini-bosses, etc. to get the reputation to 12k. If you did everything properly, you end up with 12k reputation in your second faction and 13k reputation in your first faction. This opens up the possibility to have 12k reputation in both factions, which means you can use all of the minions or switch your faction if you want to buy Kudra keys, depending which one is cheaper, Mycelium or Red Sand. The extra 1k reputation remains as a buffer, so you don't have to switch factions every day to maintain the 12k reputation in both. The lazier you are, the greater you want your buffer to be, which means the higher you have to get your reputation before switching factions for the first time. If you already switched your faction, you can still fix it by doing enough reputation tasks in one faction, as the negative reputation caps at minus 3k. I think that has been everything regarding factions and reputation. If you watched until this point, leave me any comment for the algorithm. Also, I should stream some Blaze Slayer for the next few days. Check out my Twitch or Discord announcements if I do. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments. And now have fun grinding, and I'll see you in the next one.